In February of 2020, I went to Puerto Rico on a scouting trip to hopefully begin a partnership with Wilshire and American Baptist and Cooperative Baptist congregations there. At the time, the church, First Baptist Church of Rio Piedras, was in partnership with the Baptist Men of North Carolina, assisting families who either couldn't or didn't qualify for disaster relief. Even after 3 years at that time, post-Hurricane Maria, many residents in Puerto Rico faced significant home damage due to the hurricane. I don't have to remind you that in then March of 2020, the world shut down. COVID hit, and so 3 years later, last week, a team of 14 from Wilshire was finally able to go and assist a family who for 5.5 years post-Hurricane Maria continued to suffer significant damage to their home that led to mold and water leakage anytime that it rained. Now, if you followed our posts on Facebook, you might have thought we just played. And we did. We played hard, but we worked hard. Our group assisted the Del Valle family in sealing up their roof. We dug a trench around their home to help with to redirect water away. We scraped and painted ceilings, and we were able to paint the outside of the home, and we organized and cleaned and much more. It was such a wonderful experience, and I have 2 members of the team that I'd like to invite up here on the chancel with me, Monica Mullins and Jason Woodbury, to help share a portion of what they experienced as a part of the team last week. So one of the things that we significantly took the time to hear were stories. We heard stories from the church. We heard stories from the people. And Monica, I am curious to know what story in particularly impacted you.
Well, I was able to see what is possible when a church loves their community with abandon. Not just when it's easy or popular or convenient, and not just for a moment of initial need, but for the long haul. Primera Iglesia Baptistas de Rio Piedras is not just the First Baptist Church of their district, but it's actually the very first Baptist congregation established on the island of Puerto Rico. This is a church with a long history and a long tradition, with lots of tradition. We were honored actually last Sunday to be there as they began their week of celebration for their 124th anniversary that they concluded just today, along with the fact that they are in the process of sending off their senior pastor to become the coordinator of global missions for CBF. And it was really an honor to be with them and to witness and learn what they have been doing these last 5.5 years. In the aftermath of Maria, they simply responded by throwing open their hearts and their doors and saying yes to God and to an island in deep need. And it changed them. It changed them individually, and it changed them corporately as they impacted thousands of lives and continue to do so to this very day. This church said yes without worrying about how, without worrying about where the resources would come from, without worrying about what it would do to them as a congregation. And they never once had a scarcity mindset. They just said yes. And they've continued to say yes in the face of COVID and continued disasters that have hit the island. And you know what? God has shown up in beautiful ways, in incredibly mysterious ways. They have literally had the food that they've needed on the day that they've needed it to feed thousands of people over these years. They've had the hands to do the work, the tools to do the work, right when they needed it. And they've had the strength and the endurance and the wisdom and the creativity that they needed to help those who were left behind, the very least of these. And I have no doubt that even as their senior pastor departs, that they are going to continue to say yes, because they cannot unsee what they have seen God do in their midst. So the question for me is, where is God asking me to say yes? Where is God asking us to say yes, without worrying about how much time we have, how much energy we have, if we have the resources, if it will change us? I have seen what a people who are committed to Christ and who love their community, who love all of their community, can do. With no strings attached, without worrying about anything or hesitating. And I'm challenged and I'm convicted and looking for where it is that God is asking me to say yes.
Thank you, Monica. That is, I think that story of their church saying yes and never looking back was one that changed all of us and led us to even dream dreams for our own congregation in the ways that we might be saying yes in this moment. One of the things that we often think about when we go on these short-term mission trips is what we're going to contribute or what we're going there to give. Sometimes we often don't actually think about what it is that we're there to receive. One morning, Jason Woodbury led a really sweet devotional time on the rooftop of the church, and he answered this question, and I just thought it was so important for us to be reminded that we don't just go to give, but we go to receive. So Jason, tell us what it is that you received during your time in Puerto Rico this week.
Yeah, wow, I don't even know where to begin. I received so much while we were there this week. You know, the month leading up to the trip for me had been very stressful at work, and I find it a wonderful irony that the place of rest was work. Working with and serving with and giving with all of the Wilshire team in Puerto Rico. It was such a wonderful week, and we had so much fun while we were doing the work. The work that we did for the Del Valle family was great. They were so appreciative. It was so rewarding, but it was also really fun work too. I have such fun memories of Mike Malchik and Vicky Kahn singing together while painting, us laughing and sometimes groaning at Dennis Smith's dad jokes, dancing to Jamaican music with Dorrell Brown, and listening to tunes from Dew, our trip DJ. It was just such a fun week. And I think, you know, one of the things we talked about in that devotion is that it's one thing to love at scale. And I think for me, it's easier sometimes to love at scale. And it's harder sometimes to love up close and personal. But that's what we did this week. It wasn't love at scale, it was love up close and personal. And I think that's what refreshed my soul the most. And so I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful for hot showers after a week going without. I'm grateful for the friendships that I've made this week. So very grateful for that. And I thank you, Wilshire family, for all of you who were praying for us, both before we left and while we were there. Your prayers meant a lot to us, and I'm so very thankful.
Thank you both for sharing just a snippet of what we experienced the last week. We hope that there will be more opportunities for us to get to share additional stories. One of the ways that you can continue to serve this church is to be in prayer for them. Like Monica said, their senior pastor is being commissioned today to serve as the global missions coordinator of CBF, which means that they're about to go through their own transition. And as a church that just finished that process, we know what that's like. And so it creates a really great opportunity for us to be praying for them during this time. So thank you to those that went on this trip. It was a really great time together, and for the sacrifices you made and the time and space you made to be able to do that. And thank you, Wilshire, for your prayers.